Hey everybody, welcome to Fortunate Creations. I'm Kim and this is a channel where we talk about everything to do with crafting. So from amigurumi to weaving and anything in between, if you like crafting and being creative, stick around. I think you're going to like it here. Today, I have been asked to do a tutorial on these fingerless gloves that I made on the Addi. Super easy, really pretty, and really fun. Ready? Come on, let's go make them. All right, so as you can see, I have my 22 needle Addi set up, and I'm using, I can't really see it, but I'm using Premier just 1 pound acrylic, 100% acrylic, and it is a medium 4. So you want to make sure you set your, you can see it right here, make sure you set your counter to 0, which I have. Very important because you only want 68 rows. I did a lot of testing on how many rows you want, so you definitely only want 68 rows so that you have the perfect length of a glove here, okay? So you're going to cast on like you always do. Leave a lot of tail in there. And I'm using black because someone has requested that I make them a black pair, so that's why I'm using black. Normally I would do it with a different color, but all right, now you're just going to cast on like you always do. In front, behind, all the way around. Make sure you don't miss one. The very last one should be a behind, and then you're going to go right into your first row. So make sure you cast on like you normally do. And then we're going to go ahead. My first row always fights me, and then it gets nice afterwards. Pull out enough yarn over here. And then just start cranking. Now you want to watch and make sure 68 rows exactly. Okay. So here we go. All right, here's row 67 and here's row 68. Okay, so again, pull out a long tail, snip it off, because I use the tail to cast off of the Addi. I don't do a row of waste yarn. I just actually use the yarn I'm using to help secure the stitches. So I tuck the long tail of it inside, okay? And then I thread my needle. Let's get a good one. What one can I use here? I like the ones with the little tip on the top, so you can scoop them up easier. And then I just go through, and as they come off the pegs here, I grab them. First couple are really tight, so you want to make sure you hold your finger over the other ones while you pull the yarn through. And then as you go along, it gets easier. I just don't like the step of the extra waste yarn. And then you can go ahead and just scoop them all off. Make sure you don't miss one. If you miss one, it's going to mess up everything. Now you're going to want to do 2 of these panels, or 2 of these, they're not panels, 2 of these pieces. We'll call them pieces. How's that sound? Undo that. Tuck that back in there. Make sure you tuck it in, because if it gets caught on these, you're going to have a whole other mess. So just make sure everything's behaving and not stuck and coming right off. You can see you just stick it right in between the 2 pegs and pull it right off. Don't wind too many ahead, because if you end up pulling this a little higher, it will pull that off, and then you're going to be dropping stitches, and you don't want to do that either. I do 3, maybe 4 at a time sometimes, but no more than that. No sense in tempting fate, right? Okay, and sometimes the last one gets stuck, so I leave that on there, and then I'll just manually slide that one off. And there we go. Okay. So go ahead and make 2 of these panels, and then I will take this down and I'll show you how to do the finger holes. Okay, so I've made 2 of the panels. You can see the sun is shining on my desk right now, but that's all right. We'll work around it. So I've made 2 of these panels. They're both the same length. Okay, I'm going to set one of them aside. I'm going to show you how I cinch off the ends to make it look nice and neat, okay? Just got to make sure you don't pull it too tight. All you want to do is pull it so that it just, no more slack in the line, okay? Just like that. You don't want it tight because you want it to fit over the hand on both ends. Same with this one, just pull up the slack. Now, what you're going to do now is you're going to fold it inside of each other. So I reach in and I grab the other end and I pull it half through, okay? Half through. And that's why you did exactly 68 rows, because 34 rows gives you right where you want it to be on your hand, because you're going to put the thumb right there, okay? So there you go. That's where it sets nice. It'll tuck inside the coat if you're wearing one. It's just a perfect length. You can make them longer if you want. If you want it to go to the elbow, that's up to you. But there you go. So we're going to do the same thing to the other one. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this halfway through. This is also how you pull it through if you're doing a hat, but we're not doing a hat. So here we go. Just kind of getting the edges equal here on the other end. You can pull through all the yarn. All right, and once it's sitting, get all the wrinkles out. You want it to line up row for row, okay? Once it's sitting where it's all matched up on the end, then we're going to go ahead and close this end, or seal this end around itself, okay? Now, if you left off a long enough tail, you should be able to secure this without any trouble at all, okay? So I'm going to get my crochet hook. All right, I've got my crochet hook. I also tried to get the glare from the sun out of the way. Sorry about that. Perfect time of day for the sun to come barging in. But, all right, who wants to complain about sunshine, right? So once you get this all lined up, make sure there's no wrinkles inside. You want row for row, right? So take your longest tail. Measure out which one's the longest and use that one. You're going to go all the way around, and we're just going to slip stitch these two sides together, okay? The other one, the other tail that you're not using, you can clip it off and tuck it between the two sides. So I'm going to go ahead, take this, get a better pair of scissors eventually. Oh my goodness. And then you're literally just going to tuck it in between the two folds, and you'll never see it again. Okay. So now I hold it open, okay? And I'm literally just going to slip stitch the outside of both rows together. So it's the very outside to the outside. Those are the ones I'm going to stitch together. And you're going to do it all the way around until you get back. And you should have enough. If you left long enough tail, you should have plenty. But you're just going to slip stitch. And then you're going to go between, if you look here, I'm trying to get in there. There we go. You look between the stitches, and you're just going to keep going for the outside between the stitches. Again, it's hard with black. I apologize, but someone wanted a black pair, so and then you're just slip stitching. It gets easier as you go along. Right through there. Okay, you can see it right there. Outside, well, it's inside to outside, but it's really the outside stitches. Okay, all the way around. See those two push themselves together? You separate them, put your hook right between it, slip stitch right between it. Don't pull it tight. If you pull it tight, it's not going to slide over your hand. So you want to make sure you don't pull it too tight. At the end, if it gets too baggy, you can always add a pretty, decoration and tighten it up a little bit if you want, but I'd rather have it too loose than fighting with it too tight, because if it's too tight, you're going to have to start over. If it's too loose, there's ways to tighten it up. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking to yourself, these are too baggy, they're not going to work, there's many ways to fix it in the end. You could even put like a little bow or whatever and then just tighten it up. There's so many ways. Okay, so we're going all the way around. Again, with black, it's very hard to see, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And as long as you keep it 1 to 1, it's going to line up nicely. It's going to look nice and neat. Your end is going to look really pretty. Now, you can also put in a row of single crochet along the top of this if you want to finish it up even more. Totally your call. The ones that I made, I didn't do that, but you absolutely can. Make sure you've still got your play in there. And we're going to go all the way around the outside. That's a song, isn't it? I don't know. Okay, here we go. Last couple. Now, again, when you're doing double panels, it's so easy to hide your tails. So you're going to go ahead, one last one to the last one, and just make sure you're nice and tight. And there we go. So this is where you're going to start your thumb attachment, okay? Now, again, if you made a long enough tail, you should be able to do your thumb out of what's left. If not, you can always tack on a new string and work from there. All right, so here we go. You want to position the glove on your hand so that this is going to be the thumb hole. All right, you see where I have that? And you can see how nice this is. Again, you can put something fancy. You can make it look pretty. I'm making it look basic because it's more function than, fashion. All right, so we're going to take it from here. So for the sake of the tutorial, I went ahead and snipped off both of my ends and I tucked them in the inner folds of here. And I'm going to start with a new piece of yarn. Just in case, because I know a lot of you that are just trying this for the first time, you won't know how long of a tail to leave. So we're going to go ahead and start with a new piece of yarn. So what I do is I look around the edge. Here's one spot that looks a little more open than the others. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. It's almost like hiding a flaw. So we're going to go ahead and attach your yarn here. However you like to attach it. I do a slip stitch and then a chain. Okay, so here we go. You're going to go ahead and you're going to go 3 single crochet right along the top. Okay, right along the top where you stitched it together, 3 single crochet. And you're going to chain 1 and turn it and go back. And you're going to keep doing this until it's long enough to attach to the other side. And that just has to determine, or that is determined by how big the hand is that you're making this glove for. So whether you're measuring your own hand or whether you know someone else's hand, try to get it so that it's big enough to fit snugly, but not too tight. And you don't want it to slip either. So, just like one of the fingerless gloves, hold like a nice strap on there, okay? You're just going to keep turning your work and doing another row. And if you see, I'm doing my little fancy thing on the end here. Where's my good section? Trying to find. There we go. All right. Put this here. I do my fancy little ending where I slide that extra over so the inseam, if you will look nice and neat. Okay. So go ahead, keep doing this. I can't tell you how many rows it is because I don't know how big the hand is that you're making the glove for. So just keep going. And then once I do this, I'll show you what I do to measure. Okay. So I go ahead, I pull up a loop here, and then I just put my hand in. So it's going to be there. So we're going to need a couple more rows. Okay. Couple more rows. Don't worry about this tail. We're going to tuck it in there and you'll never see it again. I would say 1, 2, 3, maybe about 7 rows to connect that. Okay. So keep going and I'll meet you back up here when my rows are. All right. So I've got the thumb long enough and I did 10 rows. So what I need to do now is make sure I'm attaching it where it's comfortable for the thumb to rest. So you want to go right there. Now you can take a stitch marker if you want and mark it, or you can just kind of eyeball it and pinch it off right there. So that's how I did it. And then you just slip stitch it right to the glove, right where you marked it. It's really that simple. Attach it on there, slip stitch it on here. Make sure you didn't twist it. I forgot to say that. And then go ahead and slip stitch it on there. Like that. And pull it through. And you're done with that one. Again, pull this off. I switched my scissors. I actually threw that other pair out. Pull that right through. And then you can take your crochet hook, slide it in, make sure you're in between the two sides of it, and just go ahead and pull that tail right in. And you're good to go. Okay, so there's your glove, your first glove. Hide the tails in here. Same way, just slide it in there. Now this one's a little trickier because it's the tail for the thumb. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thread that one in there because I don't want it to show. Okay. Sorry if I was off camera. I was concentrating on what I was doing. But you're still good. Same idea. You're just going to pull it right through inside the glove and then snip it off. Where'd that other one go? I know it's there. I pulled that one back out like a silly person. Slide this in here. It's really easy to hide the tails inside of a double project like this because you can just hide it right inside. Tighten it, snip it, and away it goes. All right, one last one. Like I said, you can fancy this up if you want. You can go ahead and do a single crochet around here if you want, but I really think it looks nice just how it is. Really simple. It takes about 15 minutes to make a pair of gloves. What a great gift idea. What a great necessity for kids in the winter. I know it's really hard. When my daughter was young, it was hard to keep gloves on her hands because she couldn't do anything with the fingers, but the fingerless gloves she loved. And there you go. Glove number 1. And the good thing is you don't have to worry about left hand, right hand, because the way these sew on, it fits either hand. It's just a matter of, where the seam is. But there you go. There's the glove. Here's the pair of gloves that I did in the beginning. These are sparkly ones. Super easy Addi gloves that you can make on the small Addi. 68 rows and under 60 minutes. All right, so here you go. Let's finish this up. All right, here you go. A nice pair of fingerless gloves. They cover just enough of your hand to keep it nice and warm. Leave your fingers out so you can do stuff in the winter. I love me a pair of fingerless gloves because they're the only ones I use. I need my hands out, and my fingers actually get colder in gloves when they're separated. So I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was easy enough for you to follow along. Back on my channel, I have lots of playlists, lots of tutorials, and lots of fun stuff going on. So please, if you would give me a like, a subscribe, share me with others, however you want to get the word across. We usually have a lot of fun here. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you make a pair of these. If you do, put them on my Facebook page. I'll put the address right there. If you have any questions about this tutorial, shoot me an email. I'll put that right there. And remember, always be happy, be kind, and be creative. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.